Normally, I have to talk to you from someplace in California, but today you get to enjoy the beauty of Oklahoma in March. And I'm actually here with a group of very, very dear friends and the team of people that help with BecomeNew.me. So I wish you were standing right here and you got to see Tim and Alan and Kevin. That's Kevin's house behind me. Here's the invitation for today. We're on a journey through this season of Lent, getting ready for Easter and resurrection, and looking at how does God want to renovate us from the inside by renewing our minds. Here's the invitation. This is from Dallas' book, Renovation of the Heart. I constantly and thoughtfully engage myself with the ideas, images, and information that are provided by God through the scriptures, His Son Jesus, and the lives and experiences of His people through the ages. Now that's what we are doing right now. That's what you are doing right now. And you can do that anytime, all day long, whenever you want, whenever it occurs to you. Engage with the ideas, images, and information that are provided by God. Dallas goes on, in doing that, I'm constantly nourished by the Holy Spirit in ways far beyond my own efforts or understanding. Now, the alternative to that, of course, is just to let my mind drift and think about whatever the world or the news happens to place before it. Or to pursue some kinds of ideas, images, and information that are far inferior to what Jesus presents. And Dallas has a story that I love about the alternative to living with God present in my mind. He says, when God stands before us, we stand before Him. Refusing to worship Him is a way of trying to avoid His face and His eyes. And then here's the story. 2.5-year-old Larissa was enjoying water in the backyard with Nana. Little behind the scenes information. Larissa is Dallas's only grandchild. Nana is Jane Willard. Hello, Jane. Hello, Larissa. Nana gently counseled her to water the purple flowers, but she had just discovered mud by pouring water on a small patch of dirt. Nana told her not to put water on the dirt because it makes mud, and mud will get everything dirty. Well, mud it was anyway, and the little girl even put the mud into a small tub of water nearby, calling it then warm chocolate. Nana, who had been reading facing away from the action, soon discovered and cleaned up what was to her a mess, and then returned to her reading, but now seated so as to be facing Larissa. But the little girl soon resumed her warm chocolate routine, saying sweetly, "Don't look at me, Nana, okay?" Nana, of course, agreed and looked down at her reading. Then Larissa would make black mud and put some of it in the tub and then some more. 3 times, almost sounds biblical, like 3 times Paul says, take the thorn away. 3 times she said as she continued with her work, "Don't look at me, Nana, okay?" And then this. Thus the tender soul of a little child shows us how necessary it is to us that we be unobserved in our wrong. Thus the tender soul of a little child shows us how necessary it is that we be unobserved in our wrong. We think sometimes when we think about the story of Adam and Eve, how Adam hid from God after he sinned. But of course, hiding didn't start then. He had to hide to God while he sinned. We have to hide from God. We have to hide from the good and the right that we know. We have to hide from other people who know what is right if we want to do what is wrong. We must remove ourselves from the conscious awareness of the presence of God, and that's death. Don't look at me, God. Dallas goes on. The adult soul carries the same burden, but now so great as to be crushed by it. When the face of God will no longer be avoidable, that soul will cry out in agony to the mountains and the rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of Him who sits on the throne. So I can do life in every moment in the conscious awareness of the presence of God, filling my mind with ideas and images and information from Jesus. Or I can say, don't look at me, God. I'll tell you one other little coda to this story. If you're concerned about how did Larissa, the 2.5-year-old mud-making sinner, turn out, in my copy of Renovation of the Heart, I have a little drawing that was done about 10 years ago from a trip to Montana, and I will show it to you. And the artist signed it 10 years ago. I think she was 13 at the time, and that's Larissa Heatley, Dallas's granddaughter. And now she is grown up and loves her grandfather and his work and Jesus. So things turned out really well. Nice going, Jane. Nice going, Larissa. Now, here's the point. The effect of standing before God by welcoming him before us will, by contrast, be the transformation of our entire life. All else that enters our mind, and especially the thoughts that first come to our mind as we encounter the various kinds of events that make up our days, will be healthy, godly, and good. And what better experience in my mind could there be than that? And then Dallas gets very practical with this. So I want to read these words and invite you to think about your day and what will occur in your mind and my heart, my thought. Here's what Dallas says. This is what happens to my patterns of thinking when I consciously invite Jesus to be present with me. Am I undertaking some task? Then I, in faith, do it with God, assuming and finding his power to be involved with me. That is the nature of the kingdom. I was talking to a friend the other day about sometimes you'll hear an expression, work like everything depends on you, pray like everything depends on God. No. Work like God is working right there with you. Dallas used to say sometimes, like, if you're a plumber, remember, it's never just you and the pipe. When the pipe isn't working right, when you can't fix it, Jesus is right there. It's you and Jesus in the pipe. It's you and Jesus in the classroom. It's you and Jesus in the computer. It's you and Jesus with the problem. It's you and Jesus. It's always me working together with God. And in my mind, when I invite God to be with me in my work, that makes the task completely different. Dallas goes on. Is there an emergency? I will meet it with the knowledge that God is in the midst of it with me and will be calm in a center of intense prayer. What a gift it would be in a world that is full of crises and urgent needs for non-anxious people to have the presence of God with them. I used to have a sign in my office, and Linda, who I worked with, and I would talk about it. Your urgency is not my crisis. And with God is with me, when God is with me, then there is no situation that is beyond God's capacity to handle it, and I can be calm in the midst of the storm. This happens in the mind. Am I praised? My thoughts and feelings will move immediately to the goodness of God in my life. What a great thing that would be. Instead of having my ego getting all pumped up and needing it, or trying to figure out some way to look humble when really I'm not, just to thank God how good you've been to me. Am I condemned or reproached? And of course, that one usually causes a lot more distress for me. I know that God is supporting and helping me because he loves me and has a future for me. Am I disappointed and frustrated? Maybe that's you right now. I rest in the knowledge that God is over all, and he is working things out, that all things work together for good for those who love God and are called into the fulfillment of his purposes. So as you walk through the day today, whatever it is, whatever the task is, whatever the emergency rises, when you are praised, when you are condemned, when you are disappointed, look at me, God. Look at me, God. Be with me, God. Be present in my mind. Allow your thoughts to be filled, immersed in, dominated by the ideas. God is love. The Lord is my shepherd. The images. God is my rock. The information. Don't be afraid. The Father who feeds the birds and clothes the lilies of the field is with you. Have the mind of Christ in you today. And whatever events happen, it'll be a really good day. I'll see you next time.